so we're going to get started. I think we've got another person coming in. Well, my name is Todd. I'm the organizer of DNewTech, and I want to say thank you for coming out. Looks like the rain kind of pushed people back, but there's no rain anymore. I know the traffic instruction could also be the reason. But anyways, DNewTech is a spin-off of Ann Arbor New Tech. Pretty much what we do is every single month, the first one's every month, we try to get a couple of entrepreneurs and startups to kind of pitch their idea. The goal here is just to not only listen to people's ideas, but also kind of network at the end. Afterward, we usually do something at the end. I don't know where we're going to go out tonight, but I'm going to let Roger pick if he has a choice.
Try beers for us.
All right, so let's get started. Usually we give 5 minutes to present and then 5 minutes for Q&A from the audience, and then we'll go by the list that we that we have. Oh, but first of all, I want to say thank you to some of our sponsors. We have Invest Detroit, who's pretty much a funder here in the Detroit area, that invests mostly in the city of Detroit, and also in the southeast area as well. We also want to say thanks to who else do we have up there? Yep, Oakland University. We're actually hosting our Oakland University events next month up there. Typically, they actually do a good job in getting some of their students to present, and that's it at Oakland University in Rochester. So with that,
Grand Circus.
On the Grand Circus. We don't have anyone here to present open up at Grand Circus, but we also want to say thank you to them for allowing us to use the facility to host our meetings. So with that, we'll get started with the first presenter.
Hi everyone, I'm Michael Kling. I'm here from Ann Arbor to present to you TrueJob. So imagine that you're building a startup and you've proven that you have a viable idea. Maybe you've raised money, maybe you've become profitable. At some point you're going to have to start expanding your team, start hiring people, start expanding and growing. When you do this, you're going to start to run into problems. So for example, if you go to the Bay Area to try to hire for someone, it's going to take you an average of 80 days to hire for a position. Every job posting you put out, you'll get an average of 118 job applications. If you make a bad hire in your startup, it can be extremely expensive, and left unfixed can kill your startup. The thing is, as an employer, even if you do everything right, even if you've solved all the issues that you think you have, you're only solving half the problem. Job seekers are struggling just as much as you are. We looked at a recent survey from Job Board Doctor that asked job seekers to pick one word that they would use to describe online job boards. 2/3 of them were unhappy with the experience, and they used words like overwhelming, worthless, and others to describe online job boards. When asked why, they gave reasons like fake and duplicate job postings, lack of postings that fit their skills, and its total lack of feedback from employers to help them do better the next time they apply to a job. So to help solve all these problems, we built TrueJob, which we're calling Pandora for Jobs mixed with Google Analytics. So as a job seeker, when you go on the platform, you're going to find a curated list of startup jobs, and you can rate anything about those jobs. So what I mean by that is that if you were to click on, say, a company, then you can like or dislike that company. You can do the same thing for locations, even words in the job description. Maybe you see someone's advertising for a Ninja developer and you don't want to see anything like that anymore. You can just block that and you won't see it. All of those ratings that you make go into our analytics platform. They're going to improve your job recommendations over time. Now as an employer, you're going to receive those analytics and you can use those as feedback to help improve your postings, to attract better candidates. So not only are you going to be able to see these basic analytics about who's been viewing your job posting, how long they're spending on it, but also this more detailed information about who's who's viewing it, and what they like or dislike about your job posting. And at the same time, you can rate candidates and get good recommendations about who's most qualified. So we like to think of TrueJob as this great feedback loop. Job seekers are rating jobs, startups are rating candidates. As they do, job seekers get recommendations for more relevant jobs, and startups get recommendations for more qualified candidates. Those ratings pass to the other side as feedback to help the job seekers apply better in the future and help the startups put out more detailed and relevant job postings in the future. And it builds this great feedback circle. So the best part of all this, we're live today at TrueJob.com. If you want to check us out, you can go on, post jobs, apply to jobs, everything I've described. Now, we know there's a lot of competition in the job search space. This is just a few of the companies out there that have job postings online. But we think we have some real advantages. So we're targeting this niche of online startup recruiting, and we provide this actionable analytics and feedback to both sides, to employers and to job seekers, to help both of them improve. Now, my co-founder, Scott Gossi, actually presented this a little less than a year ago, I think, at this meetup. So some of the progress we've made since then. First, we've built some pretty cool job calling technology. So we're able to go to startup websites directly, pull in job postings from there, and that's given us, if you go on the site today, you'll find a better selection of startup jobs for the Ann Arbor and Detroit area than any other site. We built some integrations, so we're providing free job boards to meetup groups, and use that to give them an opportunity to have job postings on their site they might not otherwise have. And all this has led to some exciting growth for us. So we've got, with all these new jobs on the platform, we've gotten more users, more employers posting jobs. And at this point, we are the third largest database of startup jobs in the United States. And we're excited to continue that growth in the future. So what we're looking for right now are advisors that have experience with marketing or HR experience to help us make sure we're solving the right problems for businesses. Looking for people to try the site, job seekers and employers to give us feedback about how it works for them. And if there's a meetup group and anyone would like to integrate with and have a free job board, then we'd love to talk to you. Thanks, that's all I have.
So anyone want to have questions?
Yes, I have questions. What is your model for making money off of this thing?
Yeah.
Where is that piece of it?
Yeah, so I haven't thought about that.
Yes, I know
Right
this.
now, so we kind of have this two-sided market problem. We need job seekers on the platform, we need jobs on the platform. So right now, we always want it to be free for job seekers. For employers to post a job, it's free right now. The kind of added value that we are hoping to offer them is just as a monthly subscription that we can turn on in the future. It's just these analytics about what people like and dislike about job postings that they can then use to attract those relevant candidates.
So you mean like they get 3 months free, and then if they want to continue, they can
Something like that, yeah.
pay a small nominal fee?
Right now you can get some basic analytics all for free, but we don't want there to be any friction for the process of putting a job on the platform right now.
Gotcha. Do you do any selling of lists or data mining for revenue?
Not right now. That's another kind of avenue that we looked at. So as we collect all the startup jobs, we build this sort of analytics database, and get this nice history over time of all the job postings that have come in, which companies are posting new jobs. There's a lot of data there that we could potentially find value in and resell to.
It's usually where most people find their biggest revenue.
What kind of clientele and accounts do you have? Are you working with any major corporations?
It's mostly small companies. So most of the large companies that we talk to, they have some HR practices.
Internal, yeah.
They already have some kind of applicant tracking system. So our hope is to get involved with smaller companies, and then as they grow, we can. Right now, the platform is built to support them, and as they grow, we can expand to the support larger companies.
Have you worked with the Hackers and Hustlers group?
We have actually, yeah. We've been speaking with them, and I think that, I don't remember the name of the person that runs it, but Scott, my co-founder, has spoken with them a few times about doing something there.
That'd be good, because then there would be two different places that we're looking for, looking for opportunities.
For getting the employers, are you reaching out to them, or is it expected that they're supposed to sign up for your service?
Well, we would reach out to them and then they would sign up.
Okay, but so then if there was like a company that, we'll just say for instance, somewhere in Ohio, and they just came across your TrueJob by word of mouth, would they then just be able to sign up, or do they have like a verification through you?
I mean, it's easy enough right now, at least at the size we're on, to just kind of, everyone that signs up can talk to you a little bit. And,
okay.
We haven't had any issues, but verifying that they are really, I guess, we check the email, make sure that they're really the company that they say they are. But we also, like I said, we kind of pull jobs from across the web. You can also, if you are a company, you see your jobs on there, you can go on and claim them, and then your account is already there and has all your job listings in it.
But is there anything in place then to stop me from creating a company that I'm looking for people, even though I don't really have one
right now?
No, I mean, like, I don't have a company, but is there anything stopping me for posting false job postings?
Right, I guess, yeah, if the concern is kind of fake job postings, spam, that kind of thing, the way that we're talking about right now is we're just manually, curating all the job postings that we put on the site. So, which is, not ultimately scalable, but it's fine for us at this point.
I use Indeed a lot. I like, for some reason, I like the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Have you guys come up with a way that would allow you to kind of use your existing database so that every time someone finds something, if there's a process in which where they are in the stage of your interview, where the status of where you are with that candidate, from review to phone interviews to on-site interviews to even
offers? It's kind of getting more to the side of employer applicant tracking system tools, but that's something we've also looked at as a source of revenue, basically kind of offering, at the basic level, offering them a chance to post a job, and then having some interviewing tools, some other candidate management tools. Right now, we're more focused on the job seeker side and getting more traffic. So.
What type of advertising are you currently doing?
We're doing, it's mostly online advertising right now. So there's some fun, I think job search is the most or the second most kind of search category on Google. So that's very important. But we're looking at other stuff too, especially in the areas where we have kind of highest density of job postings.
So when you use your web crawler, it's going by meta tags, right? I would assume that it's looking for a job as
something like that.
as a keyword, and going reaching the page. Okay.
One question. So looks like one part of the system is the feedback loop between the job seekers and kind of employers.
Yeah.
Do we have any evidence showing, on one hand, for example, employers are willing to give feedback to the job seekers, like the reviews, and secondly, how good is quality of those feedback?
What was the last part?
How good are those feedback? I mean, the reviews, for example, right?
Yeah,
Can that really be helpful for potential employers to really understand how good this employee could be?
I would say, so we've been more focused on the job seekers giving feedback to the employers, because there is some friction with employers being willing to Out of concern for, it's important to them that be anonymous, that there not be any evidence of bias, that kind of thing. So we've been more focused on the job seekers providing feedback to the employers. But at the same time, there are certain things that that make a lot of sense. If you don't have the relevant technologies in your resume that you need to have, then that's just an obvious thing that an employer can. And then, as a job seeker, then you can know, well, at least I know that I'm missing this thing. And maybe that's important.
So you try to go to LinkedIn to try to get, because LinkedIn also has ratings of people, and you try to go in there to try to get people's rating from LinkedIn.
We're not doing that right now. Actually, we used to have integration more with LinkedIn, but unfortunately, LinkedIn really locked down their API. So maybe one day when we're huge, then we could be a partner.
Open Microsoft now.
Do you have to ask for small businesses start? Some places like ours right now, our website has job opportunity. Is there a way for us to kind of build it?
I mean, we have a widget that you can use to embed on your site, and just a tag thing, answer. But it's not. We don't have like a job API at this point. But yeah, people want it, then build it. So.
Any more questions? All right. Nice chat.
bigger companies have their own internal processing for hiring. Change it to that was it.
Hi guys, my name is Tim VanDongen, and I'm the founder of Ryde Media. This is on my stats. My co-founder is not able to be here today. Ryde Media connects passengers in rideshare vehicles to the cool things to do in town. The problem? There's been 2.2 billion Uber and Lyft trips since 2009. None of their plans were influenced by local advertising. Another problem is Uber continues to drop rates, and that trickles directly down to the drivers. The solution is Ryde Media Community Kiosk. Who benefits from this? Uber and Lyft passengers, local businesses, organizations, and Uber and Lyft drivers. Passengers benefit by seeing relevant content and have access to local deals and specials based on their destination and the day. They see upcoming local events. They can scan Apple Passbook codes and their emails to get future deals and share it with their friends. Weather reports at their fingertips, and they have an experience unlike any other trip in a rideshare vehicle. Passengers are our customers. They want relevant content. They want to know the hot spots in town. They love technology. They want an experience that goes beyond the typical Uber trip. They don't want to see American Express ads. They want to know where to get $2 beers or the best latte. They also have money to spend. How local businesses benefit? Local businesses advertise content directly to passengers in their city or on their way to the city. Larger businesses advertise in conjunction with local businesses. For example, Fine Bell's Too Hard Ale at Alley Bar. Local nonprofits that benefit the community will be allowed a limited amount of free advertising space. Local businesses would be our clients. They want to reach the Uber demographic. They want to market to visitors in town. They want the upper hand on national chains. They also want to pay for real impressions and interactions. They want to reach a captured audience that is headed in their direction. How drivers benefit? Drivers would be paid on the amount of ads that they show. Their passengers are more content and their ratings go up. Drivers would be our partners. Rideshare drivers are always looking for ways to make more money. They want the freedom to use their own equipment, and they love it when their passengers are occupied, because that's less small talk we have to make in the Uber. How it works: drivers input the destination in the back, inputs the destination and the amount of riders in the back seat. The background changes based on the destination, local events change, and the content changes based on the day and the destination. A little demonstration. This is what they see when they get in the car. And this is what it looks like mounted between the two front seats. You've got an about, you've got local events, and you have weather. So every 15 seconds it would change to what they see. Another cool thing is I think Uber and Lyft could use it as a great way to communicate with their riders in a whole new way, actually in the car. More events at a local bar. This is what they see when they see events, local events. This happens to be Ann Arbor, what's going on in town. And this is what the weather looks like. It stays on there for 15 seconds. And then it goes away and goes back to the content, and when they get out of the car, it resets back to this. The competition, I missed the competition. Competition, this one is called ViewGo. They were trying to go national with it. They're bombarding them with national ads, not relevant to the people in the car. Which is not a good experience. It begs for tips, it makes noise, and they can see that in a taxi in New York City. Traction, we've generated revenue, very low operating costs. I have a partner he works for JCM Media Group, and he's been doing the coding. I know nothing about coding, I wish I did. And I'm a current finalist in EntreSlam. They're kind of new. They're kind of a startup about your story. It's a storytelling competition for startups. These are some of our partners that we've had so far, or who we're kind of affiliated with. What's next? It'd be easy of use for passenger drivers and clients, streamline administrative duties, break free from the MVP that I currently have, to allow passengers to donate $1 or whatever to local nonprofits with one swipe, to be the Google AdWords of Uber cars, to use geolocation technology for passengers to pick exactly where their ad will show, kind of similar to the Snapchat geofilter user interface. Create ad surges in zones where there's high demand for advertising, just like Uber, and to collect that coveted data that Uber collects from every ride. And then more of an events feed instead of me having to manually put all this stuff in. What we need: money, more clients, more rideshare drivers, and a possible hacker. And that's it. Yeah, exactly.
So what's your revenue model? How are you planning to, besides ad basis?
Well, right now it's ad revenue from local businesses. And then about 40 to 50% of the money would go to the drivers to share the revenue, just to have an incentive to actually have this in their vehicle.
And did I hear you right that the driver gets to select what they can advertise?
No, the ads show based on the destination. So if you're driving from an hour here, you would see content for here.
Does the driver have any control over?
No. The only control they have is putting in where they're going and how many people are back there.
I don't have a question, more of a suggestion.
Okay.
One of the screens, when it pops up, could be a map that shows where you are at the moment and any of the locations of your advertisers, like on a Google Maps interface. Yeah. It's like, okay, you're here and these places are right here, right after the ad pops up. So the ad, as you said, is location driven, and we're going through this area that is, these advertisers are very close.
Right.
And then, you know, have a cut after the ad, a cut to the screen where they were very close.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
And a second suggestion, a very small printer. So like, let's say that it's a touch screen kind of thing, and they can click on it, and then the driver is notified that they want to take a detour, they're interested in this. It could print out one of those little scannables. A small little scanner. It's a coupon.
QR code.
Yeah, QR code.
Yeah, that's something that could happen. That would be a good
And a little kickback.
return on investment type thing.
Little kickback for actually driving some people into the place.
To a new place.
You don't have to print it, you can just show it on the screen.
What was that?
And they can take a picture.
You just show it on the screen and then you take a picture.
Yeah, they can take a picture or scan. Everybody who has an Apple product, they have the Apple Passbook now. So they can take a picture of that, the Apple Passbook, and that'll go on their phone. And that can actually use that for notifying them when they're in the area also. So that's
And then that's coded to show that you are the person who drove this person into the.
Yeah, that would be.
And do it like a revenue share.
Right.
Like 2% of whatever they spend.
Right. Yeah.
Just some ideas.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Take it off the cuff.
For the equipment that's necessary in the car, how much do you think it'll cost you per equipment? Per
For
car?
me?
Well, I mean, you're gonna put the display and whatever it is. How much do you think these equipments will cost?
Well, right now I'm using iPads and I'm supplying the drivers that we have right now with the iPads. I have 6, but it's made for people to use their own iPad. So an iPad if they have at home, or they can go buy a used one for like $100 or something.
So the driver will supply the iPad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or use their iPad that they use on a regular basis. Just put it on the mount and use that. I mean, they're in the car anyway, they're not using their iPad.
When you say a hacker, what kind of languages and technologies are you looking for specifically?
I don't know.
Take your information.
I'll ask the guy who is doing it.
You might have used this, so I apologize. Secondly, how is Ryde talking to Uber? How do you know where the destination of the person is going to?
The driver puts it in on a separate app in his
Okay,
phone.
so they have to manually enter it in right now?
For right now, yeah.
Do you know if there's any way to go 2 layers deep into the OS of the phone to find out what the GPS on the phone is talking to Uber, and if you could link that together somehow? So that's
We've looked. It's been about a year since we've looked into that, but Uber has 2 apps. You got the driver's app and the passenger app.
Yeah.
The driver's app is closed down.
Yeah, so there's no API, nothing.
There's no API for that one. But if I guess if it used an external, Uber has its own GPS unit built into the app also. But the drivers can also use Google Maps or anything else, but it's not like guaranteed. So I guess we may be able to tap into an external GPS unit that tells them where they're going and automatically put it in the app. But if the Uber app, if they put it in the Uber app, there's probably no way to get it.
I was just curious, and I'm not sophisticated in that way whatsoever. I was just wondering if there's a way that you could intercept when Uber is talking to the GPS on the phone to find out. Okay.
Right. I guess the app I could say drivers, you have to use Google Maps as your GPS. They're trying to say, and then automatically grab it from that.
And I'm actually talking about on the same device. So not your iPad is stealing it from their phone. On the driver's phone, I put in the location, or it's automatically fed from Uber. Uber itself, the app, is then interfacing with the GPS on the phone,
right,
via some application layer or something, where it's tying the hardware and software together. And I'm wondering if your app, which also could be on the driver's phone, could intercept that somehow.
Yeah, it is on the driver's phone, and yeah, we probably looked into that. But right now, currently, they're putting in a zip code for where they're going, because it tells you.
Oh, okay, so you're just doing it, so
the
it's
driver puts in a zip code.
unobtrusive.
Yeah. But eventually I want to enhance it a little bit to where a driver just has to press a couple buttons. You like, even if it's an app, a general area, it zooms in, general area, it zooms in, general area, and stuff.
Yeah, you said the driver puts in the number of passengers too. Does that like affect the ads then that they would see, or?
No, but it's basically impressions. So it's, if you have a car with 3 people in the back, it records the amount of people that were actually visible.
I see.
Yeah, so it actually records the impressions. Okay. Actual impressions.
So how does the driver get 10 people in each time in each ride?
It's a clown car.
Well, they were, I guess, yeah. They could do that, but.
How many people are using your kiosk right now?
Right now it's in, well, right now we're kind of retooling. It's not in vehicles, and we don't have any ads, no revenue right now. We're updating the app and stuff, and we're hoping to be back on the road within the next 3 weeks.
Any more questions?
Yeah, manufacturers are hired. Very good. It's not easy as pure service software.
It might be easier to do it to actually record it.
I guess I can't do the source here. Not that way, I don't have technical.
Too much data.
Right. Good evening, everyone. So actually, I don't have a topic to talk about today, but so I'm kind of I'm a professor of computer science here at Wednesday. Kind of wearing my professor's hat. I guess I come here to mostly to share with you something that I'm really passionate for, and we also something that we have technology and solutions for, but looking for potential ways of bringing the lab solutions into potential practice. So what I'm going to talk about is, wireless networking for real-time sense and control. So the broad context for this is really the transition of the traditional internet to what some people would call Internet of Things, or in Steve K's language, the third wave of internet evolution, where essentially we use network as a way of connecting the cyber and physical space in the hope that we can actually transform many traditional industries such as transportation, industrial automation, and power grid. So if you look at all this, most of the topics that have been discussed, actually wireless communication is a basic foundation. So let me use a few examples to drive this discussion. So for example, in the connected and automated vehicles, by allowing vehicles to talk to each other, to share their status and operations with each other, we can potentially eliminate up to 90% of the accidents we see today. And also by allowing vehicles to talk to each other and to talk to the cloud and the traffic infrastructures, we can also transform the traditional way of optimizing fuel economy by trying to basically optimize the operation of each individual vehicle by thinking about how they actually interact with each other and interact with the traffic flow. Now, with some simple solutions today, you can even save up to somewhere between 8 and 16% of the fuels, which is actually significant. So that's about some examples in the transportation sector. Now, similarly in industrial automation, while networks have been used for decades, almost as old as the internet itself, almost like close to 50 years now. But most of the solutions today are based on wired solutions, which has inherent limitations in terms of both cost. For example, it's actually cost over somewhere between like $1,000 and $2,000 per feet. If you look at industrial wide network solutions, there's a high cost. There's also the inflexibility in reconfigure the kind of the factory floors. So if you look at the wireless solutions, it can not only reduce cost but also enable flexible, agile manufacturing, where you may have to reconfigure your floors every once in a while. Now, so therefore, if you look at the industry today, there have been actually new industry standard that has been specified for using wireless in the industrial setting. There's also the IETF effort trying to define the next generation wireless networking standards for the industrial sectors. Of course, if you look around across the planet, there's actually a lot of effort, both industry and government initiatives, being kind of forced to try to on one hand develop the technology, but on the other hand actually make sure those technologies get deployed and for real world impact. So that's about industrial sector. And so if you look at power grid, there's actually similar effort nowadays. So for example, if you look at power grid, for folks who may be familiar with the power grid structure, there's just like internet, you have kind of backbone, the transmission network, and then there's distribution network, and then there's network inside your home. Now for those are kind of just for the transmission network, for the power itself, it has this hierarchical structure. Along with it, there's actually all kinds of network solutions involved. And if you look at the current product that have been used, or technologies that have been used, wireless is actually everywhere. So then the question you may have is, do we have the right technologies, wireless networking solutions for these emerging application domains? Right? Because if you look at pretty much all these application domains, whether it's for transportation, like autonomous driving, connected autonomous driving, industrial automation, or power grid control, most of the applications tend to be mission critical and many times safety critical. So, but if you look at the network solutions that have been developed in the past like 4 or 5 decades, or even look farther back, look at the traditional telecommunication solutions that have been mostly developed for communication between people. Now, for us, we can actually tolerate certain kind of imperfections in the communication, for example, delay or packet loss, right, or delay variation packet loss. But for most of the safety critical machine type communications, they're actually very stringent on the communication quality. For example, in terms of delay, they may actually require sub-millisecond or millisecond delay, maximum delay requirement for reliability, several lines guarantee of reliability. So if you look at from that angle, we're actually far from having the right solution for the emerging, especially safety critical wireless communication systems. There are a few canonical problems that have been there for decades but not solved yet, but actually critical if we want to actually realize some of the visions of wireless network sensing and control. So one of the basic problems actually, for example, is something called co-channel interference control, where basically the problem is that if you have a network of many devices, if they all transmit at the same time in the same channel, they can collide and cause interference. Now this is a problem at the very beginning of the network, like data network kind of revolution back in the 70s. The problem is still actually not solved very well at this point. So therefore, I think at the high level, I think there's actually fundamental need for new solutions or new networking foundations for real-time safety critical wireless communication. So we have been actually working on some of these problems in the past years and have been making progress. And for example, we have actually, sorry, can you skip a few slides here? For example, we have been actually looking at the interference control problem, and we feel that we actually have the right solution for this long-standing problem. Here are some data which I'm probably just gloss over very quickly. Basically, it kind of shows the communication reliability in different protocols. With our solution, which is what I have the PRKS works here, we can guarantee the application required communication reliability no matter what the reliability could be. We actually achieve that with very simple solutions in a distributed fashion while guarantee optimal concurrency in the network. So overall, I think you know, some of these application domains I mentioned actually are quite relevant to this region, right? If you think about the connected automated vehicles, advanced manufacturing. But if I look around based on my limited knowledge from as a professor, I think we really don't have enough investment into the technology solutions in this space. Most of the companies around here just treat them as users. They would hope someone would come up with a solution they can just use it, right? Take the transportation sector as an example. You know, right now we're using something called DSRC or 802.11p based solution, which I believe technically is fundamentally flawed for the envisioned real-time vehicle control. But no one, I think, in this region is actually developing the next generation wireless networking solutions. Now, you know, as a researcher, we have been working on these problems, and we feel that there's actually really good progress being made. But we alone in the lab can just do so much, right? So I'm kind of trying to come here. This is actually my first time to be engaged in any startup community event. Try to kind of come here and share my thoughts and see if there are anyone here or in the online would be interested in this topic, and if so, I would love to talk to you to see how we can actually potentially work together to bring some of these solutions, into practice. Just as a shameless plug here, to kind of as a way, hopefully, to engage this local community in this domain, I have actually set up an industrial wireless networking meetup just a few days ago. And we're going to meet actually in 3 weeks from today. We have about, I think, 19 members right now. I haven't got a chance to meet with them yet, but I think if you look at the future of this industry, many of the industries that are critical to the state here, I think probably it's actually worthwhile for us to think about what we can do actually to build the technology foundation and also to potentially commercialize some of the technologies here. I guess probably you guys know much better than this, but I think being close to the potential customers does help. So for both the customers and for potential solution providers. So with that, I'll stop here, and thanks for your attention.
Do you actually have any hardware that's been manufactured that's close to being commercialized?
Yeah, very good question. So actually, to implement our solutions, we can use the existing commodity hardware, and we can implement our solution as a firmware, basically as a piece of software.
Software.
Yeah. So so we do have prototypes. We did as part of our research process, kind of a prototype that built on top of the commodity hardware solution. So I think in terms of specific execution plan, in terms of product kind of prototype, at least we can just use existing ones. Yeah, so that's my short answer.
So what type of communication protocols do you guys work on? Wi-Fi, LTE, like what?
So in fact, I think, so I kind of skipped some of the details, but essentially, wireless communication is a broad domain, right? So we can look at a very narrow part of that, which is about how to enable those applications that need high reliability and low latency communication. Now, so far there has been no solution to that problem yet. So therefore, no standard. Of course, there's the emerging effort on 5G, which is looking at high reliability and low latency, but no standard has been defined yet. There are some standards like I mentioned, wireless car and so on, but they really are really premature to a certain extent. For example, they really don't solve some of the open problems I just mentioned. So So I think look into the future. There's a need for new standard to be defined. So that's actually another part of the reason why I don't think a professor or a research group alone can actually do this.
Well, I think the Apple just announced that they're using, their goal is to make things all wireless. So I mean, the technology you're discussing about is, it's really in demand. I know there's a group right now at Blackstone in Wayne State University that, have you looked into them? I know you mentioned about looking for a group of people or to network more. Aubrey Agee, he's actually someone who you might want to just connect with, see if his students would do some work with this. It's the Blackstone program?
Yeah, I forgot this, but yeah. Okay. There's progression.
Yeah, I think that would be a good, I know you talk about connecting with people who might have similarities. They might have, I know they work with a couple of startups, but I'm not sure in this hardware space or not.
Essentially I guess, I think at this point, we can kind of, in the lab, we can come up with solutions, but I'm kind of looking for potential partners who can help with the engineering and the business aspect, so that, we can have kind of more production quality prototypes.
Well, when I was doing my thesis, I was doing a grant. Do you get grants? I mean, apparently you could use those grants and see if other discipline like MBAs would actually work along with you.
Our research is supported by the federal grants.
Right.
There are actually a lot of activities to seek funding for this. Actually, I know how to do that, but I don't have the right person yet.
Oh, got it.
You see, there are a lot of places there are running for this kind of work.
Okay, well, I noticed your chart's at 100% kinetic collision for your. You basically look like you're doing predictive technology to try to determine to avoid a collision. How do you get 100%? That seems a little.
So close to, right? So,
I would say imagine it can't be 100, but.
So basically, if you so if you look at the communication, right? So what it means the reliability is the signal to noise ratio. Right. So if you make the signal to noise ratio high enough, that give you that much high reliability. Okay. So it's probably safe, right? You make it 95, 99, or 99. By the way, so here, just since you asked how many we have this slide. So it's actually not about 100% reliability. Sorry, I didn't kind of get time to go through the details. So in the experiment here, what we did is, so given a network, we have a cascade of 300 nodes. So we did a few experiments. Basically, in the x-axis, based on different experiments. In each experiment, the application may specify different reliability requirement. Okay. The ones we actually experimented with 78, 90, 95. That's what's shown here. And the y-axis shows in different protocols what are the percentage of links whose reliability is guaranteed.
Okay. So you're basically guaranteeing. Okay.
Yeah, we guarantee all the links get their required reliability. We did try higher reliability requirement at 99%, and so on. It works pretty much the same. So one thing more detailed information, since you asked, is if you look at the CSMA or RT stages, which is essentially the foundation of the current DSRC solutions, they really don't give you much guarantee. So,
well, if you ever want to troubleshoot stress test your setup, bring it to a convention. Yeah. we had a chip failure. We had a cheap Wi-Fi chip, and it works great. But apparently had a really small buffer for the amount of Wi-Fi connections it can actually handle at one time. And we were working great, everything was all set up, and then they opened the doors up and everyone came with their mobile phones and shut us down. So that was, that's definitely an issue because everyone's, 802.11's got such a few bandwidths to begin with, so you just got 3 overlapping channels and everyone just crowds the hell out of it. So
one of the fundamental problems we have right now is if you look at most of the industries, they just take what you have, like for example, take Wi-Fi. What's using the vehicle, like trials in the connected vehicles, fundamentally they're not so much different from Wi-Fi. But Wi-Fi was never designed for the
Yeah, so you're increasing the signal noise ratio or decreasing the requirement for, are you doing more of a differential to handle drifts and stuff like that, or is it a?
So the issue here we're looking at is really something like this. Suppose you actually have a large, let's say like a convention, let's say in a rush hour, right? You have hundreds of vehicles.
And they're all randomly trying to access to see if they can broadcast at that time.
Right. So the question is, how do you schedule the transmission so that each one get the reliability? Instead of just everyone running at different time slots to transmit, you actually have some intelligence into their kind of solutions in deciding when and how I'm going to transmit.
Okay, so it's more of you kind of get queued into a space then, or did you get queued into the algorithm as someone joining it, or?
So in a way similar to that, but essentially, let's say vehicles close by, they should not transmit at the same time in the same frequency band, right?
Right.
But not too far we could, right?
Yeah, once you go over a certain distance, your signal noise ratio will be alright.
The question here would be, how far is far and how shall we destroy given any arbitrary environmental conditions. So, based on that decision, then there's a question how we schedule queuing your language, how to queue different transmission.
Okay, so it's more of a, so you're not limiting this to a particular bandwidth, and you're doing multiple bandwidths and.
So this solution just for this problem, so it's kind of a basic accuracy that can be used in different settings. On top of maybe different loaded or physical layer solutions.
Okay, thanks.
Well, what about other things like, for example, at my house, when I turn on my microwave, my wireless goes bump, it just goes out. It gets interference, and the microwave just takes over everything. What about other mechanics that?
Right. So I guess what you refer to is something like external interference, like microwave, which is not part of the system. To deal with that, we have to leverage channel hopping, right? For example,
like Bluetooth.
This kind of, we actually have one ongoing work, but that's kind of the usual transmitters. Basically, this kind of actually work together to provide guarantee even in that sense.
Are you going to stick around?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I think let's give a hand to her.
Thank you.
Normally there's events going on all the time. Does anyone have any events that you want to share with the group? Because I know that TEDx Detroit is coming up in October. I can't remember exactly the date, but it's always in October over at the downtown in Detroit. What other events are going on? Does anyone have, Ann Arbor New Tech is going on every third Tuesday of every month.
Yeah, there's two events. Number one is Digital Summit, which is coming to Cobo Center October 11th and 12th.
That's Digital Summit?
Yes, and they are actually looking for tech startups to showcase at the conference. And I have some handouts here that I can pass around.
Who should they talk to about the...
Well, you have to go on the website and fill out the form. It's a very short form, and you submit it, and then they contact you. And then there's also the Entrepreneurs Forum. It is September 16th at Franklin Athletic Club in Southfield. And I have some flyers for that too.
I think I saw your presentation, Action Slam.
Yeah,
coming up.
I'm looking for that right now. She just sent me an email.
Okay.
I've got no printed stuff on it, but she just
There's the Detroit Lean Startup Summit is September 20th.
Okay.
If you go to leanstartup.co/Detroit Summit, there's information about that.
And when is that again?
It's September 20th. And then we're hosting at Bamboo Entrepreneurs Organization Info Session. They have an accelerator for folks who are making $250,000 and up. And it's a really, really good network, just entrepreneurs supporting other entrepreneurs.
Is there an application they have to fill out?
It's a free event, so people can just come and learn more about it. I think you do have a card, right? Rio.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
You eventually have to apply, but I think it's free to be in the accelerator.
Anyone else? Yeah.
The AttraSlam event is Wednesday, October 5th from 6 to 9 at Tech Town. Like I kind of set up there, it's a storytelling competition. I'm a finalist. I think there's 9 of us that were selected as finalists just just today, so.
How many people are doing it? Where's that going to be at?
It's at Tech Town, October 5th from 6 to 9.
And I know that Roger here's got, was it the Detroit Beer Company tonight? So if anybody wants to join us, usually it's going to be at, if you want to do the Detroit Beer Company?
It's okay with me.
So yeah, after this, if you want to hang out over there. Besides that, usually next time we're meeting up at the Open University at the OUN. They're sponsoring us for that event, and we'd love for you to be out there and register to help. With that, have a good evening, Dave. Thanks for coming out.
Her name is Krista Rice. Yeah. Have you know her? Okay. She kind of was in Ann Arbor just in her, but then I think she wasn't having a whole lot of success out there.
I think they're doing more right.
Yeah, me and her kind of had the same feelings. Not necessarily the happiest with the in general, like Detroit is kind of, I don't know, just a better environment.
I think they're
Definitely, I've noticed that.
So what's new, Amanda? I heard you guys got a little bit.
Yeah, I think a lot of those